From the Clark Ford Studio in Oxford, Mississippi, MBW Digital proudly presents the Oxford Exxon Podcast.
I'd say thanks for tuning in, but why am I going to give you a round of applause for something you're supposed to do, to be frank?
And now, here are your hosts, Chase Parham.
And broadcast school has really paid off.
And Neal McCready.
I deserve to be on TV.
Tuesday edition of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham, Neal McCready, Clark Ford Studio this morning. We'll talk some baseball. We'll talk some football, coaches, a little of everything today on the show coming up for you over the next hour or so. Brought to you every single day by the Oxford Exxon, the blue sky there on Highway 6 West in Oxford. Remember to take advantage of the great gas prices you can get. A couple different ways to do that. Speed Pass Plus app can save you money. The Mobile Rewards Program, I cannot talk this morning, which is a problem since I host a podcast. Mobile Rewards Program as well there at the Oxford Exxon. Get the lunch special for $4.99, 2 sides of bread, 32-ounce drink. You get a clean, convenience store. You get nice employees. You get a lot of stuff. Blue Sky Oxford Exxon. And again, coming to you from the Clark Ford Studio.
We are Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900. Call the number, ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what new Ford you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. It's that simple. It's right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle. You get your quote. It's a baseline for you moving forward, and you just might end up doing what I've done and what so many others have done, and that's make your purchase from Clark Ford. You get a great Ford vehicle, great service after the sale. The delivery options. Corey wants to be your truck guy. He wants to be your car guy. He'll prove it to you. I know people say, what does that mean? Call the number. You'll start to find out. 662-257-1900. And at the end of your deal with Corey, tell Corey that you heard about Clark Ford on the podcast. You'll save $500.
So, let's see. First, congrats to Vish at Snack Bar winning James Beard Foundation's Best Chef South last night in Chicago. I did see that on the on the Twitterverse, on the Twitter machine last night. So congrats to him. He's been up for it a couple different times, and it always kind of shocks me. It's not just in general whoever wins, because that's such a tough geographic area from a food standpoint. Because we're talking Florida, Louisiana, Alabama, Arkansas, Mississippi, and Puerto Rico. I mean, that's pretty stout from a restaurant standpoint in the United States. So congrats to him for that last night. Just going to kind of get going there. Let's see.
He's a neighbor of mine, and I've never met him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've never met him. But congratulations to him. He doesn't live far from me at all.
Yeah, he's done a heck of a job over the years there. I think they've been going about 10 years now, something like that.
Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. I think Snack Bar's been going around 10 years. Either the best or the second best cocktail program in town was St. Leo. And then just consistently stuff. I mean, it's like, Jeffrey's the one we really ought to talk about it, because, he comes in town. It's a go every single time. But nonetheless, yeah, has become an establishment. Has become, frankly, the most consistent and probably, or no doubt, the best current restaurant in town as well. So.
I've been 2 or 3 times. It was always really, really good. I haven't been there often, but I've been there, I don't know, maybe 3 times. Yeah. It was always really good.
Well, I think you and I have at least been twice. So.
Yeah, that might have been the only 2 times I've ever been, but it's always been really good.
So congrats to him. Just let's see. Sorry, my text messages are blowing up. There's actually stuff going on today, which is kind of weird.
Really? What's going on?
Nothing major, just kind of stuff. I don't know. Like, my phone's ringing. I'm getting texts. Like, people that know me, you would think that at 8:10 a.m. I have a pretty good pattern over the last 7 years by now, something like that. There's not a real good possibility that I'm able to answer the phone at 8:10.
They trying to get a golf game going or what?
No, I don't think so. Just stuff. But
people nervous about the baseball series. They want to get your thoughts.
Is that what it is?
I'm guessing.
Just gotta.
You get a lot of that this time of year.
Yeah, it starts to ramp up about this time of year. Honestly, this is about the time of the year where everybody gets just a little nervous. That's a good word.
I refer to this as the set up to shoot the messenger portion of the week, which is just in case that what they want you to say is that, yeah, I think they're going to do really well. I think they're going to win 2, or I think they're going to sweep, which would be a stupid thing for you to say, because then you're really setting it up. But they want you to tell them, yeah, I think they're going to be okay. I think they're going to get 2 out of 3. That makes them feel better as the week goes on, it lets them ease through the week a little easier because they know you know the sport and that you know the personnel and all that stuff, and that, hey, Chase thinks they're going to win too. And then if they do, great. But if they don't, they can get pissed off at you because it's more palatable to get pissed off at the messenger than it is at the actual team that they cheer for. That's my theory, and it's a real. And
I don't know, for a large portion of the fan base, it's pretty palatable to get mad at the head coach right now. So
it is, but I'm willing to die on this hill as it pertains to certain people. I think it's set it up. It's a psychological ploy. But you're right. The Bianco roller coaster's so out of control right now that it might actually supersede the messenger portion of the psychological setup. I do think there's a lot of psychological setup. The bottom line is it's not a great matchup. It's going to be difficult. It's two good teams. If you look at their numbers inside league play, there's not a hell of a lot of difference between them. And the damn thing could go either way. That's the reality. And then you throw in the possibility of inclement weather forcing a doubleheader one day or something. I mean, I think they're going to be all right, but Friday is iffy, and so that's what also ramps it up and makes it more interesting if you have to play. And maybe you could answer this better than I could. If you have to play two games on one day, who does that swing the advantage to?
And it doesn't. I mean, it's marginal at best for the most part. It swings it to whoever wins the first game because of momentum. Especially in this environment, because it's going to be wild. It's going to be a zoo, and if Ole Miss can feed off that, again, they've done so well on these big weekends over the last 10 years or so, whatever the span is. They really win a lot on Double Decker and Graduation and Grove Bowl and all that kind of crap. So, can you feed off of that in game one and let it go over, versus if you lose, does the fan base almost kind of get into that regional tightness kind of thing going on, and then it kind of freaks everybody out a little bit? And I don't know. There's no way to answer that. But no, Ethan Small's a tough matchup. You've got to do what they did against A&M. That's the path to winning this series for Ole Miss. It's got to look like against Doc Axis. It's got to look like against Lacey, where you just foul balls off and you chip away, and you hope you look up in the seventh inning and they're going to the bullpen and you just get him out of there. Because, look, he gives up some home runs. Auburn got to him a little bit. I think that's the recipe. It's make him throw a lot of pitches and then, frankly, try to run into one. And maybe you hit a couple out of the yard and you got a lead and suddenly you're in pretty good shape. I do think they potentially can hit again on Saturday, and then, Sunday's like any other game. You see what Hoagland looks like, see what Plumlee looks like for Mississippi State. But Friday's the tough matchup. Small's the one that I'm not crazy about Ole Miss's approach against him, but they got to hit Etheridge too. He's been pretty good. So it's going to be a fun series. It's going to be a good series. I don't think either team is sweeping. I think this thing's 2-1 either way. And frankly, the winner is probably the 2 seed or the 2 out of the West and one of the 4 teams that gets byes in the SEC tournament. That's not as big of a deal for Mississippi State right now because of RPI as it is for Ole Miss. It's a huge deal for Ole Miss currently. So, yeah.
Here's the updated forecast. This is according to the National Weather Service. For those that are wondering, we'll start with Friday. During the day, scattered thunderstorms in the morning, becoming more widespread in the afternoon. A high of 71, a chance of rain 80%. Friday night, cloudy with periods of rain, a low of 58. Winds light and variable, chance of rain 100%, rainfall near a half an inch. Saturday, rain and thunder, rain in the morning, scattered thunderstorms in the afternoon, high of 71, chance of rain 90%. Saturday night, thunderstorms, low of 58, winds light and variable, chance of rain 90%. On Sunday, AM thunderstorms, scattered thunderstorms in the morning, then partly cloudy late, high of 71, chance of rain 60%. And Sunday night, if it matters, a mostly clear sky, a low of 53, winds north at 5 to 10 miles per hour.
I was asked because of school being out and it's 2 teams that are a couple hours from each other if there's a chance for a 9-inning doubleheader on Sunday with a waiver. I have no idea. I'll be honest, I don't know.
Can I guess?
You can guess.
My guess is the Freedom Fighters will not budge off. There is no common sense when it comes to these things.
That is very true, and then occasionally they just throw up one where they approve a waiver and you don't understand why they did it. My guess is 80% no, but who knows with that group? It could go either way.
Because frankly, and I know no one's going to do this, given the weather that I just read, the smart move, and I know this is not going to happen, and I understand the logistics behind this as well, but given that it's graduation and that is it Mississippi State's graduation as well?
I don't think so, but I'm not 100% beyond that.
Because I know our next door neighbor goes to Mississippi State, and she's already home for the summer. Because I saw her on Sunday night. She came over and visited with the girls for a minute. So they're out. So I assume that their finals are done. I don't know whether their graduation is done or not, but if not, it's close. Since school's out...
They've already had graduation.
Okay, so State's already completed their graduation, so their kids aren't... Their players are not... there are no academic things hanging over them. The Ole Miss kids will be through academically by Thursday or Friday. What makes sense, if the weather's bad, is play a game on Monday. But they're not going to do that.
No, that will not happen.
That will not happen.
Well, and now I will say a little bit in their defense. Remember, the last weekend of the regular season is always Thursday, Friday, Saturday for everybody.
Right.
That's a really fast turnaround considering Ole Miss has a road game on Tuesday night and a road series in Knoxville starting Thursday.
Sure. I get it. I get it completely. Whenever I hear the rain percentages start getting around 100% and 90% and 100%, it's when you know it's going to rain.
Yeah, I'm seeing here that spring commencement ceremonies in Starkville were May 2nd and 3rd. So, it's done.
Yeah. Like I said, she was home for the...
I think the SEC tries to make sure those teams are home. Although, State was in College Station last weekend, weren't they? Never mind. Were they?
I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah, I think they were actually.
Yeah, they were in College Station last weekend, so never mind. That's...
So their kids didn't get to walk. Did you walk?
No. Did you?
I did not walk when I graduated at Ole Miss. I was ready to go. I went home. I lied and said I had a job interview. Back then, you had to have an excuse not to walk, and so I wrote a lie that said I had a job interview that Saturday, which was not really true. I had a job interview like the next Monday or Tuesday, but I said it was Saturday so that I wouldn't have to walk. And then when I graduated from ULM, my uncle gave the commencement address, and so I had no choice but to walk.
That's kind of name dropping there. The relative that gives the commencement address.
He was a big deal. He was a big deal. He was a great and successful businessman.
This weekend matches up a couple reigning SEC players of the week as Ethan Small, the Mississippi State pitcher, on Friday night is the SEC pitcher of the week after he picked up a series opening victory against A&M last Friday. He had a perfect game through 6.1 innings. He finished with 7 innings pitched, 0 hits, 1 walk, and 8 strikeouts. State won the game 4-0. They lost the next game 1-0, and then won the last one 4-3 to take the series. And then for Ole Miss, Cooper Johnson was named the SEC Player of the Week. He allowed 1 runner to steal a base over the course of the week, and he hit .545 against LSU on the weekend. So Cooper Johnson, SEC Player of the Week, and I still contend that if I had to draft somebody, he might be the number 1 guy off my board as far as Ole Miss is pertained. I'm going to work on this a little week because we're talking about it and we're going in circles, but I do not understand why he's not had some helium. So
I know he's who I would draft. And there's some good players on that team. I think Kessinger's a really good player.
Yeah, Gray and Cooper are the two that, given where they are likely going, I would definitely be interested in.
I watch a lot of Major League Baseball, and defensively, Cooper Johnson's not far away. And again, I mean, I can't remember if you and I talked about this on a podcast or not on a podcast. If he's able to carry a wooden club up to the plate and hit 200. I mean, just be not an embarrassment with his defensive skills. And again, I don't know what kind of pitch, what kind of game caller he is and that kind of thing, but with his arm and his receiving skills, at the very minimum, he could be a backup catcher in the majors for a long time. And if he's able to swing a club with any degree of proficiency, he could be a lot more than that.
Well, that's what I told a buddy yesterday, too, was, let's say in the second round, let's say somebody takes Cooper in the second round. Well, if you know there's a really good chance you're going to get your backup catcher, a defensive catcher for a decade, that is so much. That's so worth a second round pick. Like, we don't have to grade him on the terms of, hey, is he going to be an all-star or is he going to be our catcher for 15 years? It's not about that. If he makes a major league roster, he is worth a second round pick. Period.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Period.
Dude, do you know how valuable a backup catcher is in the major leagues?
We can solve this issue right here with a second round pick. Done.
A backup catcher in the major leagues is so imperative. I mean, you can't wear out your everyday catcher. And if he gets an issue, some guy who could step in and play 10 days and hit 8th or hit 9th in an American League lineup and just not be a complete embarrassment. I mean, I'm not talking about being a good hitter. I'm not even talking about being an average hitter. I'm talking about being a below average hitter who occasionally connects with the ball with this club.
And the bat has come miles. So much better.
Look, I don't watch them much, but every time I watch them, he's getting hits. Yeah. And in fairness, I've watched 4 games on television, so my sample size is really small. But every time I watch them play, he gets hits.
Oh, a conversation yesterday was, if Ole Miss had to have a hit at a certain spot, who do you want up? And obviously Gray's number 1 because he's hitting like 500 in SEC play. But after that, it's Cooper or Zabowski. Period. It's not close. Cooper could be the number 2 person you want up at a pinch if you have to have a hit.
I watched him play a couple of games against Arkansas, and I think he hit a ball out of the ballpark. I can't remember. I know he had hits. I saw some of the game on Sunday where he got hits, and I saw them play. I can't remember. There was another game where I know he had a couple of hits. He hits. You know far more scouts than I do. But I have watched, and then I watched him play. Everyone is obsessed with his throwing because it's awesome. He can really throw it. I'm not belittling that at all, but what always strikes me when I watch him play is his receiving skills, his framing skills, just the smoothness with which he plays. He's very quiet back there.
Well,
I have no idea what kind of a leader he is. I have no idea what kind of a relationship builder he is with pitchers and all of those things. No clue. Maybe it's awesome. Maybe it's awful. Maybe it's somewhere in between. I have no idea. But watching him on television, you can tell that he understands to a very high degree the mechanics of being a defensive catcher.
Yeah, the 2 areas that he's gotten so much better is, frankly, attitude, maturity, leadership. And then the other one is receiving from the standpoint of knowing when to just catch the ball. He's had, earlier in his career, he had a lot of balls pop off the end of his mitt that should have been called. It cost Ole Miss a lot of bases. Frankly, it was a major problem. But I think so much of it was he was trying to be too perfect and too fine. And when the ball's 8 inches off the plate, just catch it. You don't have to bring that ball back to the plate. You know what I mean? So a lot of that was understanding, hey, don't be rigid. Just catch the baseball and throw it back. We'll figure out framing in a minute on another pitch.
Yeah.
I think that was so much of it.
You're not going to get 8 to 10 inches off the plate unless you're Greg Maddux or Tom Glavine. Then you do. Almost every day. But
you seem bitter about that 2 decades later.
Maybe a little. Okay. But yeah, no, I'm literally what I'm talking about right now is this year and only this year. The times that I've watched him catch this year, he's been excellent. Like I watched it I have no idea the name of LSU's catcher, and he might be a wonderful young man. I don't know him. I couldn't tell you his name. I did see where LSU had a kid from Ruston though.
Who's that?
I can't remember. I think they said he used to be a shortstop, but they moved him to the outfield. I'm really good at this college baseball analysis. Zach something maybe. I think he was number 4, kid from Ruston. Kind of, I don't know. Anyway, I don't know who LSU's catcher was, but I watched him some, and defensively he was not in Johnson's league. And again, he might be a fine young man who's on his way to being a world-class catcher. I have no idea. I have nothing against him one way or the other. He compared to Johnson, he just wasn't the same caliber of defensive player.
Oh, Zach Watson's from Ruston.
Yeah, Watson. There you go.
Who also is on the LSU team from Ruston is C.J. Willis, the catcher that was a huge recruit, had originally committed to Ole Miss and then decommitted and committed to LSU later on.
Oh, so LSU's catcher's a Ruston kid?
Well, he's a freshman. He's not playing.
Oh, okay.
I don't think he's playing.
That explains why their catching's no good. They got a kid from Ruston, and they're not using him. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Did you see Louisiana Tech's baseball field completely? They had to condemn it.
Oh, I didn't see that part.
Yeah, it's condemned. They're going to have to build a new one. They played. I don't know how I got here. It's Ruston talk. I'm sorry. The tornado went through Ruston a couple weeks ago and went right through the campus. Thank God, no kids. Actually, 2 people were killed: a Ruston high school student and his mom. But no Tech kids were killed. It went right through dorms and stuff. Where we were, when Campbell and I visited there, one of the dorms that it really hit hard. We were there. We visited it. On our tour. Anyway, it went right through the baseball field, the softball field, which is across the street from the baseball field, and it destroyed basically the baseball field. They have, and I use the word that they used, condemned it. They played their final home series of the season. They borrowed ULM's facilities. They're practicing at Ruston High. And I don't know what they're going to do about games next season. They're going to start building a new stadium. They're going to have to tear that one down and build a new one. And I think they're hoping to have it ready for the start of I guess that would be the 2021 season.
Okay, yeah. So not next season, but the next.
Yes, they'll have to play somewhere else next season or some combination of places next season. Can you imagine that, having to figure out where to play all of your baseball games in a year, and all the travel and all of the expense and just all of the headache that would be involved if, for example, Swayze were just not available for a year?
Bama played at Hoover for a year.
That's right, they did. I remember that now.
Yeah. They bust a Birmingham every day. Or for games, at least. I don't know what they did locally.
I wonder what they did for practice. One of the high schools?
I guess, but you're competing against them. They have practice.
Yeah, and they have games, and I don't know. I hate to break it to Tech, but the Bearcats got to practice too.
I don't know. It made me laugh, but it did.
Neville and West Monroe aren't going to just beat themselves. We're going to have to go out and do it ourselves. We're going to have to go out and take care of it, and we're probably going to have to practice a minute.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. All right. Podcast brought to you in part by Community Mortgage, Oxford, Memphis, Soto County, and Chattanooga. All underwriting and processing is done in Memphis. You're getting local underwriting. Understands your market, a leader in condo financing in Oxford, and the float down option. So you can lock in the current rates, but if the rates go down for you close, you just get the lower rate. 662-234-2704. Or JLOWE at communitymtg.com.
This week in Ole Miss athletics, the Ole Miss baseball team hosts Mississippi State in a key SEC series. You might have heard about it. It's this weekend starting Friday at 6:30, again on Saturday at 6, and it concludes on Sunday at noon. General admission tickets are available and can be purchased by visiting OleMissTix.com. That's OleMissTix.com. Guests will join us on the Patterson and Earhart hotline this week. Patterson and Earhart are attorneys at law who specialize in personal injury law and real estate law, but theirs is a general practice that can handle any of your legal needs. If you think you have a legal issue, if you have one, if you want to discuss one, get in touch with John Calvin Patterson and Wes Earhart. They'll get back with you on the phone within the same day, guaranteed. So whether you've been injured in a car wreck or have other legal issues, give them a call, 662-526-1992, or check out their site, pelaws.com. Your initial consultation is free. The podcast also brought to you by Pinnacle Trust. Pinnacle Trust, based in Madison, Mississippi, has clients in more than 20 states, advisors in 3. What they do is they provide detailed, specialized investment management, financial planning, retirement planning for individuals and businesses, and much more. They sit down with you. They listen to your goals, they study your expenses, and they put forth a comprehensive, detailed financial and retirement plan that's built just for you. It's pintrust.com, PINN trust.com. Podcast also brought to you by the Westin Jackson. You still have time to submit a question for my mailbag. It'll run sometime tomorrow. It's brought to you by the Westin Jackson. That's home to Soul Spa, the ultimate luxury spa experience in downtown Jackson, and it's also home to Estelle Wine Bar and Bistro. Perfect place for you to sip on a creative craft cocktail, enjoy their curated wine list, and also enjoy Chef Caden's many delicious offerings. And the podcast brought to you by John Edwards of Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. You guys know the drill, whether you're thinking about a golf trip, a late honeymoon, a anniversary trip, a family trip, a cruise, whatever the case may be. Don't just assume that you can plan it yourself. I mean, obviously you can, but you do yourself a favor and give John a call, give him some parameters, give him a budget, and let him give you some options that you will not find on your own. There's no commitment until you make a commitment, so it's nothing to lose by saying, hey, here's what I'm thinking about doing, and here's what I'm willing to pay. And I know this, you don't have to live in or near Memphis to take advantage of his services. Give him a call at 901-494-3387 or send him an email, jedwards@regencytravel.net. And the podcast brought to you by Grenada Nissan. If you're in the market for a Nissan vehicle, Grenada Nissan's the place to go. They've got a complete selection of new and previously owned Nissan vehicles, great lease deals as well. It's GrenadaNissanUSA.com.
Podcast is brought to you by Tyson Drugs there in New Albany, G&M Pharmacy there. Holly Springs, not New Albany, I'm sorry. I had looking at something else. I should know that by now. We've been talking about it for over a year. G&M Pharmacy in Oxford, Tyson's in Holly Springs. Transfer your medications easily. You can do that by just giving them a call at 662-236-2222. They take care of the rest. Don't stay with the big pharmacies. Don't have to get moved over kind of against your will. Call G&M. Let them take care of you. They will know you. And while you're in there, check out the CBD oil I've been telling you about for a while, an all-natural product that can maintain overall health and helps regulate many conditions such as depression, anxiety, pain, insomnia, and more. It is FDA approved. There's no crazy side effects. I know a lot of people giving it a chance and still using it. A lot of buddies are taking CBD oil and seeing some results from it. So again, 662-236-2222. I'm going to, I guess, give credit here, Neal. We're going to go to a list that was making the rounds yesterday, and by the fact that we're even talking about it, it is 100% serving its purpose and doing what it was designed to do yesterday. Paul Finebaum of the Paul Finebaum Show, obviously, he had a writer from the Post and Courier in South Carolina on his show. I don't have the guy's name up in front of me. I will in a second. And they essentially ranked, or not essentially, they did. They ranked every SEC and ACC head coach all in one list. And it's like a lot of this crap. It's May the 7th. The season does not start for months. And everyone still, because college football is the number 2 sport in America behind the NFL, just wants to talk about college football 365 days a year. So we end up with these lists and a lot of these arguments that are really based off zero scientific fact or zero even kind of theory that is contiguous between the entire list. It's just a kind of a bunch of crap thrown together in a lot of ways.
It's one of the things that I really don't like about what journalism does. It's one of the things I really like about Rivals is we don't have quotas. We're not click-based. But people do these lists this time of year. It's like, well, I don't have anything to write. Need something to write, so I'll do a list. And then I'll get someone to get me on the show so I can talk about the list. And I don't really understand the point of the list. Because if you're really going to do a list and you want to make the list quasi-accurate, you're going to have to dig a little deeper than all of that. You're going to have to weigh a bunch of variables and stuff that, frankly, it's impossible to do because the list could change. Here's the part that bothers me. So it doesn't bother me. I find it amusing, I should say. The list, like 1 through 28, if you do it today and then you do it again in November, it's completely different based on the results from one season, but the coaches themselves are exactly the same people.
Well, it's all what have you done for me lately?
Completely.
I did find this interesting during his show yesterday. I'm sorry I was not listening, just looking at the graphics that his show put out while I had this list up. Is first 3 seasons between these two people. Mark Richt, Kirby Smart, University of Georgia.
Okay.
Wins, 32-32. SEC wins, 18-18. SEC championship appearances, 2-2. SEC titles, 1-1. Now, obviously, we know why we think Kirby has a much higher ceiling, because the machine is rolling in Athens. But
Yes.
It is interesting, just from the standpoint of results on the field to this point, that there is no difference whatsoever in Kirby Smart and Mark Richt.
Mark Richt came so close to 2 national titles. You really can't get much closer to titles than Mark Richt got without winning one.
Complete one pass against Alabama in that game, and they're winning a national title.
Yeah, and early in his career, when they went 12-1 or whatever, they finished number 2 in the country. I mean, they were right there. Richt was a good coach. Look, Georgia's a good program, and yeah, I know why I would put Kirby high right now. And I'm not knocking Kirby Smart. He obviously is a good coach. I mean, there's no question about that. He was a good defensive coordinator at Alabama, and he's done a great job at Georgia. But not every program has the machine rolling the way they do. And now some of that, and I can hear people saying it, some of that is the reason why you need to make sure that you make a hire that your alumni can get behind, because that's what motivates the machine to get cranked. The machine at Georgia was not cranking under Richt because people no longer believed in him. They believe in Smart. They think Smart will get it done, and so the machine is cranking. So there is something to be said for that.
That's fair. Don't mind that. So you want to go to the list? Do you want to do the bottom up or top to bottom?
We'll do top to bottom.
Top to bottom?
Yeah, why not?
All right. The only there's a couple interesting things in the top 5. We'll start with the fact that, and now again, this is a South Carolina newspaper. Dabo Swinney taking over number 1 from Nick Saban.
That's where I'd put him.
Okay.
I mean, you talk about a machine rolling.
Clemson.
Son. Rolling.
And evidence that with the right perfect storm, but pretty much any major conference team, especially in the ACC or the SEC, can get that machine rolling if you had the perfect storm.
Yeah.
Because Clemson was a good program, but never a great program. I mean, you're talking 25 programs that with the right fit, the right hire, and the right machine can do this.
Yes, agreed.
Dan Mullen, number 3 over Kirby Smart.
You know what?
Cited the Mississippi State history that it was such a hard job over such a long period of time that he deserved number 3.
I do think the Mississippi State job is no better than 12th in terms of easiness in the SEC.
In front of only Vanderbilt and Kentucky.
Yes.
Okay.
And you could argue that Kentucky is easier because they play in the East and you can get players out of a.
So you're putting like Missouri ahead because they play in the East.
Well, I'm putting Missouri ahead because Missouri is in a spot where there's 2 metropolitan areas within 2 hours each way.
Okay.
I mean, you can recruit St. Louis, you can recruit Kansas City. I know no one thinks of St. Louis and Kansas City as massive football hubs, but there are a lot of high school football players in those 2 cities.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah, good. Go ahead.
Okay. So, yeah, and then, Arkansas is the only school in the state. That's what I think about the Mississippi State job. I'm not knocking. I think Dan Mullen did when you consider what State's history is in football, when you consider what their resources are, where they are, all of those things, and then you look at the results that he got in Starkville, it is hard to argue. You can, and I can hear people screaming at me right now. He's a bad guy. He did this. He did that. It's not really what I'm talking about. If you look at the results that he got, it's hard to argue that he's not a hell of a football coach.
Kirby Smart at 4. Jimbo Fisher at number 5.
Okay,
I've got Jimbo in front of Kirby.
I think I do too, though I'm having a hard time putting aside the last 2 seasons at Florida State because that was his product.
It's true. Knew when to get out. In saying that, I do not think they would be as bad as they are with Jimbo there.
Probably not. And there's more to that story, I'm sure, than
of course,
than what I know. But yeah,
Gus Malzahn at number 6 is criminally high.
Yeah. There are.
He parlayed one season into just a bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
They're average.
6 is too high for Malzahn.
Why is he that high? Why does he get such a PR bump?
Went to a national championship. He's had some big wins. The wins that he's gotten have been, dramatic wins. The win over Georgia on the crazy play, the kick 6 game to beat Alabama. He played for a national title, stuff like that. It's stuff.
Then we get into a look at a weird deal here. Dave Clawson at number 7, the Wake Forest coach that just got about a 10-year extension.
Well, when you consider the fact that he does not have anything resembling the network resources that some of the people that we have listed above him, in fact, all of the people that we have listed above him have, he must do one hell of a job. Now, I don't know whether that is because he just is a right fit at Wake Forest, or is it because he's a hell of a football coach that would be really good anywhere, and that if you put him someplace where you had an efficient network that he might take off. I don't know the answer to that.
Number 8, a familiar name for Ole Miss fans over the course of the last couple of years, Dave Doeren, NC State.
I don't disagree with that. I don't know if he's 8 or if he's 10 or if he's 6 or if he's 12. I do think he's a good coach. And, at the risk of this being inflammatory, the following is not a statement about Matt Luke at all. It's a statement about Dave Doeren. When people say Dave Doeren would not have been a good hire at Ole Miss, Dave Doeren would absolutely have been a good hire at Ole Miss. Dave Doeren's taken a lot of 3-star type players and turned them into NFL players. He's very good. His reputation is very good as a talent identifier and as a talent developer. That is his reputation. Now, is it earned? Guys, I don't know. I am open about not pretending to be the great football expert. But when you talk to people who are football experts, they tell you that that's what Doeren's good at. Now, they'll also tell you that he's kind of milquetoast and that he can be kind of abrasive and that he can rub alumni the wrong way and that he can be sort of gruff with media. And some of the things that fans want from a football coach, he doesn't necessarily provide. But his teams, by reputation, are always well coached, always prepared, and he's very good at identifying and developing talent. So, yes, when people say Dave Doeren would have been a bust at Ole Miss, I've always disagreed with that, and then people turn that into you're ripping Matt Luke. This is not about comparing him to Matt Luke at all. This is simply saying that if Ole Miss had gone the Dave Doeren route, I do think it would have been a good hire.
So what's interesting about him is that he inherited a terrible program at NC State, went 0-8 in the league his first year. Finally, after that first year, he's at 500 in the ACC. And the only thing that kind of bugs me, and now again, he's won back-to-back 9. He's had back-to-back 9-win seasons. NC State is obviously a pretty difficult job. But in his 6 years, he has two winning records in the ACC.
Yeah,
that's the only little bit of ugh.
Yeah, and I just don't know enough about that program. I've never been to Raleigh. I've never been on that campus. I know nothing about.
He parlayed a really good recruiting class and really good development into that 9-4, 6-2 season that some people tell you should have even been better. That he kind of lost a couple games he shouldn't have lost. But their ACC records, 0-8, 3-5, 3-5, 3-5, 6-2, 5-3.
Yeah, I remember that 6-2 season. Cole Kubelik took a lot of criticism for predicting that they'd make the playoff.
Yeah.
Before the year. And now Cole knows football. Flat knows it.
Well, they lost that game to South Carolina in the opener.
Yeah.
Carolina beat them in the opener, and they ran off a bunch after that, but then they lost to Notre Dame, Clemson, and Wake Forest the rest of the season. So
that was the year that, in my opinion, Ole Miss was set to hire him.
Right, yeah.
Pat
Narduzzi at 9 is too high. That's a little what have you done for me lately?
Where is he?
Pitt.
Oh, yeah.
David Cutcliffe, number 10.
Can't argue that.
He has found the perfect fit for him and parlayed it into a heck of a program. They do a great job.
He took Ole Miss within probably a field goal of winning the SEC, and he's gone to Duke at a program where the fans truly don't care. and he has made them very steady.
Yeah. Mark Stoops, number 11.
It feels high. He's a good coach.
That feels cute.
It feels very much what I just said about what have you done for me lately.
Yeah, he's had 1 year.
His last team was really good. Now, what I will give Stoops is that at Kentucky, he has turned Kentucky from that's a W to, well, we're going to have to really work for that one.
Number 12, Dino Babers. I do think he's a hell of a football coach.
That might be low.
Yeah, I think he's a hell of a football coach. Bronco Mendenhall, number 13. It's fine.
Whatever.
Done a decent job.
Yeah, he's fine. There was a time when he was at BYU or whatever when people thought
maybe
he's a superstar. He's clearly not a superstar, but he's a good coach.
Number 14, rounding out the top half, is your boy Boom.
As much as I like Boom, that feels high. But he's a good coach. He's done a good job. You can do worse than having Will Muschamp. Will Muschamp's problem is the fact that he is the coach at South Carolina during the Clemson era. I'm trying to think of a nice way to say what I was trying to say.
Yeah, no, I get it. 15, Barry Odom, too high.
Yeah.
Too high.
Yeah.
16, what do you do here? Ed Orgeron.
Ooh, he's one. And we'll do it again in November, thank God. So we can do it again. I mean, good Lord willing, I should say. Yeah, it feels high, and there's a chance it's low.
Yeah, you could throw him in so many different spots.
He's recruiting at a really high level right now. There's no taking that away from him.
I agree.
So, I'm not crazy about him as a coach, but I'm not ready to completely dismiss him either.
17, Steve Adazio at Boston College. I have no idea.
That feels a little low. They're always.
He has 3 straight 7 and 6 seasons.
Yeah. In a league where.
In the ACC, he has gone 4-4, 4-4, 0-8, 2-6, 4-4, 4-4.
Okay, well, 17's probably about right.
18, this is too high. Getting into the week that we're in, I'm just telling you, it feels weird down there. Joe Moorhead.
It's way too high.
Way too high.
Way too high. I mean, listen, if you tell me right now.
It feels like a bad fit.
Well, I think it is a bad fit. Now, he might fix it, and everybody says he's a really good coach, he's a really good guy. I know nothing about him.
Yeah, I'm not criticizing his humanity. That's not my point.
I've never met him. That being said, if you told me right now that I could pick one team to underachieve next year, there is no doubt which team I would.
And the bar is kind of low anyway, though.
Yeah, but if you told me there's one team's going to bust next year, I'd say State. And then if you told me one team's going, here's the question, and we'll get back to your list in a second. It's not your list, but the list.
Yeah, sure.
If you told me one team's going to overachieve, one team's going to just wow us, I don't know who I'd say.
In the SEC.
SEC. Because the teams that are going to be picked to do semi-poorly are Vanderbilt, and I think they'll be bad.
I think Kentucky falls off.
Yeah, I'm trying to find an overachiever.
Well, it's one of two in my opinion. It's an East team because the West is just too damn hard.
Right.
Is it Missouri because Kelly Bryant is closer to Drew Lock than we think? And I think no, but I'm just giving that out there.
Well, and they didn't lose much everywhere else.
Yeah, so is it Missouri? Thought, maybe. Who knows? Or is it Tennessee? Do they finally take that step that we always laugh about every season?
I don't think it's Tennessee. I think the team in the East that takes the big step is Florida, but I don't know that they count as an overachiever.
They don't count. It's Florida.
Yeah. So it's probably Missouri. I don't think Arkansas takes a giant leap. I don't think Ole Miss takes a giant leap.
Or there's just not one. And we stay status quo for a season.
And maybe there's not one. I do think State falls.
I mean, somebody has to get those wins, but they could be spread out.
State goes to Fayetteville next year?
I don't know. Do they?
See, I think they do, and that's a game that Arkansas could take a swing on. and get that.
Number 19, Scott Satterfield. Just impossible to rate him to this point. He has not coached major college football.
Where's he now?
He's at Louisville.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he replaced at Louisville. Number 20, Manny Diaz. You have some history with him.
I like his dad a lot.
Yeah, hey.
That feels too high right now. I mean, what has he done to prove that he's – yeah, come on.
Star fallen. Maybe more than anyone on this list, someone whose star has fallen. Number 21, the head coach of the Virginia Tech Hokies, Justin Fuente.
Ooh.
21.
Wow.
You forgot about him, though, didn't you?
What the hell they based that on?
I mean, you at no point went, hey, where's Fuente?
You do forget him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
it's because of 1 year. I mean, his year he's been at Virginia Tech 3 seasons.
Yeah.
He went 10-4 and won the Coastal in 2016.
Yeah.
He went 9-4 and finished second in the Coastal in 2017.
Right.
And in last year, and that's why he's here on this list, he went 6-7.
It still feels like an overreaction.
Also, who would I have to pay to make sure if I'm in the ACC, I'm in the Coastal and not the Atlantic? The Atlantic is Clemson, Syracuse, NC State, Boston College, Wake Forest, Florida State, and Louisville. And the Coastal is Pitt, Georgia Tech, Miami, Virginia, Virginia Tech, Duke, and North Carolina.
Yeah, get me in that damn Coastal.
I really need to be in the Coastal.
Big time.
Yeah. It's crazy. Anyway.
That other's a booger bear.
It is, because we probably are going to spend a little more time on the last few spots on this list. I will take a break to tell you about Master Cut's Lawn and Landscape. You can get a free quote by giving them a call at 662-607-7773 or gomastercuts.com. We know about basic maintenance. They'll take care of you in that when you give them a call. But they do a whole lot more, like planting flowers like daylilies and hydrangeas that I've got outside of my office window. Or they do many other things, including custom playgrounds, retaining walls, pool decks, outdoor living spaces with paver patios, forestry mulching, and much more. Dream backyard, easier than you think with Master Cuts. Again, that is gomastercuts.com or 662-607-7773.
Podcast also brought to you by Harry Alexander. Harry's an Oxford-based RE/MAX legacy realty agent, big part of Savannah Square. It's a 9-acre development, 0.7 of a mile from the Oxford downtown square, conveniently located just east of North Lamar. The model home is available for your inspection. It's at 215 William Street. The homes have wonderful layouts, impeccable finishes. You can inspect them at the William Street model just by getting in touch with Harry Alexander. Look at SavannahSquareOxford.com. Get in touch with Harry. Give him a text or a call, 662-801-5621. Podcast also brought to you by Oxford University Bank, OUB, locally owned and operated right here in Oxford. OUB has Kasasa. It's the absolute best cash checking account. With Kasasa, OUB will pay customers 2.5% interest on their balances up to $50,000 and refund ATM fees nationwide. They also have a commercial checking account, now paying 1% interest as long as you keep $10,000 in the account. Comes with fully interactive online banking. To learn more, go to liveoxfordbankoxford.com or call 662-234-6668. OUB is FDIC insured. Somewhere on this list, in fact, multiple places on this list, you can make a case for it being the crap take of the day. The crap take of the day brought to you by Scoopers Pet Waste Removal, LLC. Everyone loves their pets, but no one loves stepping in their pet's stuff. And Scoopers will take care of that for you. They'll go into your backyard, your apartment complex, or condominium, pick up what no one really wants to pick up, and they'll do it for $10 a cleaning. They'll clean up your yard. They'll do it on your schedule, whether that's weekly, bi-weekly, or a one-time service. No contracts are required. You can cancel at any time. If you have multiple dogs, it's just $2 for each additional dog. You get in touch with them at 662-506-2754. Send them an email, scoopers.oxfordpetwaste@gmail.com to get your cleanings scheduled today. And I know that many of you had a great time celebrating Blue Delta's 5-year anniversary on the square in April. Maybe you missed it and you're worried you aren't going to be able to get fitted for your pair of Blue Deltas until football season rolls back around. Don't fret. These guys travel the country doing trunk shows. They fit sports teams. They do golf tournaments. They've been in New York, Chicago, Orlando, Dallas, Nashville just the past couple of weeks. So follow them on Instagram at bluedeltajeans.com. You can see where they've been. And then if you're interested in hosting a private trunk show in your city, whether that's Jackson or Birmingham or Atlanta or Dallas or wherever the case may be, send them a DM on social media, on Instagram or Twitter, or send them an email, info@bluedeltajeans.com, and one of the Blue Delta stylists will reach out to you with details.
Going to the final 7 or so names on the list, Derek Mason at 22. We always thought that it was just the job and everything, but as time has passed, maybe he's just very average. Maybe a great D coordinator that's just not a very good head coach.
Yeah, and he has benefited greatly from, and this is to his credit, he has finished a couple of seasons really strong.
He saved his job with wins against Ole Miss and Tennessee and some other people.
Yeah, twice.
Yeah.
And that's to his credit. I mean, those games were 0-0 when they started, and Vanderbilt won the games. But no, that feels high.
It does. Let's see. 23, Mack Brown.
Is he still alive?
Great resume. Old dude that, frankly, I would not be buying any stock in whatsoever. He also is the guy that gets to navigate this Phil Longo, Jay Bateman thing.
Here's what I know about, and I'm going to make fun of myself here.
Okay.
I get up really early. The alarm goes off at 5 a.m. And if the alarm doesn't go off, Rizzo the dog goes off. And I'm up at 5 a.m. And I have a pretty busy day, most every day. And I'm physically active, and I'm doing stuff, and my mind is engaged. And Chase, about 9 o'clock, 9:15, I'm just about checked out for the evening. I stayed up last night for a little while watching. I watched some of the NBA playoffs, and I was tired. I didn't even make it to the finish line. I don't know how Mack Brown, who is considerably older than I don't know how he's going to really maintain that schedule. So a lot of it's going to come down to his staff, and given the dynamics that you just mentioned on his staff, I'm betting against him.
Are you?
Yes. So the answer is too high.
Okay. Do you think it's the gray hair that puts it away, or is it simply the age? He's 1 month older than Nick Saban.
Well, I don't think Saban's normal.
Okay. They are both 67 years old.
Yeah, and look, if Saban were gray-headed, maybe we would view him differently, but I think we all know that he's painting his hair.
Of course.
So, no, I just think Nick Saban's wired differently than
the average bird.
Yeah, and thank God, because if everybody were like him, this would be a really miserable place to live.
Might be a very productive place to live.
It might be super productive, but I mean, I think everybody would lose their minds. I mean, I don't think he's normal. Like, I suspect Mack Brown is a far more normal person. If you told me, hey, you can go to lunch and have a couple of beers with Mack Brown or Nick Saban, who would you choose? I'd say, Mack Brown. It'd be more fun.
Yeah.
We're gonna have some laughs.
24, and okay, are we buying or selling stock here? Jeremy Pruitt.
You know how I feel about this. I don't think it's going to work. Now, I have the hot take on Tennessee that they're the Nebraska of the East, and that just because you won 30 years ago when I was a boy, it doesn't mean you're ever going to win again. And, yeah, it's a real big stadium. Yippee. I was there not long ago. I was on their campus in the summer. It's nice. It's a big campus, and Knoxville's fine. But I don't think they're ever going to go back to being the big national recruiting power that they were back in the heyday. I don't. Okay. So many of the advantages that they had back in the and I'm not knocking them here. I mean, good for them. They had a hell of a run. The Peyton Manning, T. Martin era of, Heath Schuler, Peyton Manning, T. Martin era of Tennessee football, where they were a dominant national program. So many of the advantages that they enjoyed then, they no longer enjoy.
Number 25, Chad Morris.
Ooh, he's one that I'd love another year. He did a good job at SMU.
He did a good job.
Yeah, good job. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, not didn't wow me, but he did a good job.
I'm not convinced he did a better job than what June Jones did. Is the problem?
No, I think that's fair. He took over a train wreck at Arkansas. No one was going to be good at Arkansas last year. No one. And he's got them recruiting at a little higher level. He's got some excitement around their program.
He also is a team that I am fascinated by this year because it's a huge year for him to show some progress, and he's hitching his wagon to a quarterback that at SMU was mediocre at best last year because I watched a lot because of Dylan.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's going to be him.
Very average.
I think there's a chance it's going to be Nick Starkel, who's not even on campus yet.
Well, there you go.
So
Ben Hicks, the kid, by the way, for people.
Yeah, Hicks, or he's hitching his wagon to two kids who have yet to take a snap in an Arkansas uniform.
Yeah. Number 26, Jeff Collins.
Where's he?
Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech.
How many of these would you not have gotten their schools?
Not many. I would have gotten most. But
Narduzzi.
I had to think about Jeff Collins for a minute.
I had to look up Adazio because once I saw it, I went, "Oh yeah," but for a second, I went, "Huh? Who's he? Who's that dude?" I cover college football for a living. How are y'all? Good, thanks.
I wouldn't have gotten Scott Satterwhite. I would have been like, "Where's he?" I knew where he was.
Satterfield.
Whatever.
There
I wouldn't have gotten Satterfield either.
Same thing.
Same dude. He likes Waffle House. That's all I know about him.
Oh, yeah, he's always doing the Waffle House thing.
Yeah, he's a Waffle House guy.
Okay.
So he'd be a big hit in Oxford with some people.
Yeah, it's become a big deal lately, hasn't it?
It has turned into this. It's finally died down a little, but for a week or so, it was bordering on obnoxious.
Yeah, I stayed out of that. Number 27, Matt Luke.
Here's the thing about Matt Luke. And I got this question in my mailbag, and I'll quasi-answer it here, and I'll answer it there, too. I think Matt did a phenomenal job in that interim year. And I really do. I thought he did a phenomenal job because of all of the things that were going on behind the scenes that could have easily wrecked that program. And they had a couple of tough losses in that season that had there not been real strong leadership from Matt, I don't think they would have survived it. I think it would have fallen apart. Now, then I think he made a mistake in keeping Longo and McGriff after he got the permanent job. And last year, I thought they underachieved to a certain degree. This is his, in my opinion, everybody has this debate about, is this his first year or is this his third year? I think it's his second year. And because he was the full-time coach last year. He knew it was his job, and I understand the decision that he made. I think privately he would admit that he made a mistake. Yet I think he would tell you that here's the reason that he made the mistake, and when you evaluate that reason, it's understandable. This is obviously a big year for him. Not necessarily in terms of just wins and losses, but he's got to convince people being the fans, that he's the right guy. He's got to convince people that there's more to him, and this is a big season for him. No question about it. Is 27 on this list too low? He's a guy that doesn't have enough body of work to really make a judgment. I mean, if you're really grading him right now, the grade is incomplete. But, I mean, look, here's reality, and I'm scared to do this because of how this works, because someone will take this answer and they'll take part of this and they'll take a very partial quote and they'll run it over there and see if they can't. Oh, see, they're out to get you again, because that's how the game's played. It's kind of what I said earlier about Doeren. When people say Doeren would have been a bad hire, Doeren would not have been a bad hire. And when people say Matt was the best candidate for the job, let's be honest. Matt benefited greatly from the fact that, A, he did a very good job as the interim coach. He got a very emotional win on that Thanksgiving night in Starkville. And he had some very strong local / Ole Miss support from people who wanted not only an Ole Miss guy in that job, but an Ole Miss guy that they knew well in that job. And that helped him get the job. He had a chancellor who was desperately trying to hang on, and that helped a lot too. And it's possible, certainly, and a lot of people believe this. David Cutcliffe believes this, and David Cutcliffe's a hell of a coach. There are a lot of people that believe that Matt Luke is, once he gets his program established, and I think this is really going into the first season where it is truly his program. And again, I'm not saying this is his first year. I don't think you can erase what happened last year when you evaluate his body of work. Last year happened, and in the end, whether the reasoning was right or wrong, he was responsible for it. Because he's the head coach. He's the guy making the $3+ million. The buck stops with him. But this is kind of the first year where the program is his. I think to dismiss what he inherited is unfair to him, because he inherited an absolute train wreck. There's no bigger travesty than that Hugh Freeze didn't have to walk that sideline in 2017. There's no bigger, and I'm eating your time. I'm going to let you have it in a second, I promise. There's no bigger travesty than Hugh Freeze didn't have to stand up in front of media and in front of fans throughout that 2017 season and say, this is the defense that I recruited.
No, my only point is not even really directed at Matt Luke. It's more about what the fall off in wins, the probation, just everything has done to kind of the brand of the Ole Miss program. Because you're talking about Access Bowls in 14 and 15. You're talking about at least a very notable team in 16, even though it kind of collapsed there down the stretch. You had the whole Chad Kelly thing. Ole Miss was just so much in the national kind of consciousness there for a while. And this is not, Matt Luke probably too low here, whatever. That's not my point. And it's just one dude it's Gene Sapakoff of the Post and Courier. But it's how Ole Miss has fallen out of favor from a brand standpoint. That is what is noticeable to me here, is that Ole Miss, and you can only do this by winning and recruiting and doing all the different things, but just that's a really tumble in 3 or 4 years because of so much bad PR, the NCAA thing, the fall off from a competitive level in the SEC West. I mean, it has been a very quick fall, and that is what Matt Luke has to deal with, because no matter what the coaching ability is, if Ole Miss was still even just kind of treading water relative to where they were 3 years ago, 4 years ago, be minimum the middle to high part of this list. It almost kind of would be like a Dave Clawson situation. Instead, we're talking about him at 27. That's what strikes me.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Willie Taggart at 28 finishes out the list.
Who knows? His numbers everywhere do not justify the stardom that has been pinned to him.
Well, and it's always a little bit of and I mean, he's a guy that, had support from Ole Miss people too, is he was never going to be this great X's and O's dynamo. Frankly, you were hiring Willie Taggart because he was going to find a way to cheat like mad, recruit, and win and get prospects to win games. That's what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. And he's been.
So when he's a bad football coach until he gets that talent, well, that was going to happen. The question was, can he get the dudes? And if he can't get the dudes, he's going to keep sucking.
Yeah, if he can't get the dudes, he's an absolute nightmare as a coach.
Yeah.
And if he can get the dudes, well, you have enough dudes, you're going to win. I mean, players win. It's the part about Matt. In the end, the question with Matt Luke is going to be, can he get the dudes? Can he get the dudes? That's what it's going to come down to. Can he recruit at a level that allows
That's
Ole Miss?
every job is, can you get enough dudes, whatever enough is relative to your job.
Yeah. Are you ever at Ole Miss going to accrue the type of talent that Alabama and Clemson have? In my opinion, no. Now, can you get enough star-level players and then do some really good evaluating, do some good development, be good schematically, be good from a discipline standpoint, be good from a motivational standpoint? Look, I've said this, and you said this about Clemson, and I think it's true. I've covered Ole Miss now. This will be my, 12th season. I've covered 2 teams that went to Access Bowls. I've covered absolute abominations of seasons. I've seen Ole Miss run the gamut on just my years on the beat. Ole Miss can compete nationally, and Ole Miss can be horrible. There's a range there. I mean, I can show you evidence.
High ceiling, low floor.
Yes, the ceiling is high. Now, you have to be very efficient to get it there. Ole Miss can win. I don't think Hugh Freeze had a great coaching staff. I don't. Others are free to disagree. It's America.
And he brought them to the cusp of the playoff.
I think you agree with that assessment that was not a great.
No, it could have been a better staff. I mean, Hugh Freeze, what he did more than anything is show Ole Miss people they can win. Period.
And the one thing I've been impressed with Matt Luke, and look, I read a lot about politics. I love history. I love politics. I think it's fascinating. Great leaders, almost without exception, have one thing in common. They hire people to work for them who often are better at it than what they are. I'll use an example. Whether you're a Democrat or Republican, it doesn't matter. Ronald Reagan was able to always have pretty high approval ratings. He won 2 elections in absolute landslides. And whether you think he was evil or you think he was like my late grandmother, you think he was the greatest man to ever grace the earth. The one thing that he did always was he surrounded himself with extremely competent people. He delegated and he let them make decisions. Because his last couple of years, the dementia was setting in, and he was able to fool people because of the caliber of people that he had around him. Again, this is not a Republican-Democrat thing. Please don't get lost in that. This is about competence. Matt Luke went out, and let's be real here. Matt Luke is embattled as of today. There's a segment of the fan base, and it's not a small segment, that does not believe in him, that does not think he's going to win, and that wants change. And Matt Luke went out and hired 2 people who are former National Coaches of the Year, who, if there were an interim situation, would be natural candidates to be that coach. A lot of people wouldn't have done that. Matt Luke's predecessor would not have done that. No chance. Houston Nutt would not have done that. I'm not sure David Cutcliffe would have done that. A lot of cats wouldn't have done that. He did it. I thought it said a lot about him. I really did. Now, does that equate wins? We'll see. Does that equate better recruiting? We'll see. Those are what he's going to be judged on scoreboards. We talked about that with Tyler Siskey on the Soft Verbal. It's why I always get amused at when coaches get angry at media and stuff. We in the media will have no impact on where that story goes. It will be decided on scoreboards and on ticket sales and energy and excitement and all of that stuff is determined by scoreboards.
Matt Luke's not an idiot. He knows that to keep this job for a period of time that he wants this job, which is a really long time, he has to win. And he had to do something from a staff standpoint that was going to give him the best chance for that. And he did that, taking ego and all those things completely out of the equation. So no, that's a very noble thing. I mean, it's something that is pragmatic and makes all the sense in the world. But there's a lot of coaches that wouldn't have done it. So there is a credit there.
And there are people who say his circle is too small.
Yeah.
And I think that's a fair criticism. And it's something that over the course of time, if it is as small as some people say it is, it's something that he will probably have to adapt and adapt quickly. Now, I don't think it's fair to say that his circle is as small as some people say it is, because everything I hear is that Rich Rodriguez and Mike McIntyre have a ton of autonomy with their respective sides of the ball. And that's what a head coach should do. A head coach should absolutely hire people who are qualified and then let them do their jobs.
Yeah. All right. More as the week goes on the podcast and at rebelgrove.com. We've got some guests coming up on the Patterson and Earhart hotline as the week goes on. And again, plenty on the website. You should go check it out. You should read, subscribe, all those great things as well. So we will talk to you tomorrow.